Hey everybody, this is that drummer guy Josh Runquist, and I'm here with Dan from Ne Obliviscaris, who just did an amazing set, their first time here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, opening for Cradle, Filth, and Butcher Babies. How are you doing today?
Doing great. It's a little cold, but doing great otherwise.
Well, thank you for taking the time to this interview. Just like I said a few minutes ago, I've been waiting 7 years to be able to see you guys live. A buddy of mine showed me the Auroravale EP, and I instantly fell in love with you guys. And then when I finally heard Portal Vibe was coming out, like, the first album, just loved being able to hear that and the new versions of the songs from the Auroravale. And now, of course, Citadel, which you guys are still touring behind with Cradle of Filth. Thank you for taking this time to come to North America to play for us.
Right, well, I mean, it's been a long time coming. We've been wanting to come here for, a good few years at least, 3 to 4 years we've been trying to make something work to come out. But it's kind of hard, to get the right, and sometimes we might get the right offer, but then we might be in Europe with already a tour booked over there, or, but we are so stoked to be here now. It's actually been reached beyond expectation, this tour. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it too, because, the second that I heard Tapestry, I just fell in love from it, from the opening drum fill all the way to the last note of the Auroravale. And I was just hoping that you guys were going to be able to catch on enough to be able to hit North America. And I'm glad that Cradle Filth was not only able to take you out in Europe, but bring you over to North America as well.
Yeah, they've been super cool. And obviously both tours have been very positive for the band, exposure-wise, experience-wise, and just, to really get a vibe of how the USA touring market works. It's been a great, first tour to have. We couldn't have asked for anything better.
I'm glad to see it too, and I know the circumstances of tonight weren't ideal for all the fans that wanted to come out and see it tonight. For anyone not listening, the doors opened a little late and the show started about 45 minutes early, so not everybody from the Twin Cities was able to come out to the show, but right. I know this won't be the last time that you guys are here, so I know it's just going to be getting bigger and better.
Yeah,
for you.
Look, we've already got multiple offers to come back to the US, so we just basically need to choose the right one we think is going to work the best for us, and hopefully target some new audiences and play a new set list and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we'll hopefully have something announced for the US again very soon.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So of course you guys are touring behind Citadel,
yep.
which has now been out for almost 2 years now. So how are you guys still feeling about Citadel after all this time?
Well, I'm still really enjoying playing the songs. They're still really a lot of fun to play. And we're still getting great reactions from people from that album, especially touring with a band like Cradle of Filth with such a big cult following. We thought it would be really, really hard to win their fans over, or maybe people weren't kind of interested in that kind of stuff that we do, but people have really been digging it, and we mostly play Citadel material on this tour, and yeah, people seem to be receiving it really well, so we're really happy.
I'm glad to hear it too. My only complaint was it wasn't a full headlining set where you're playing all your material in order. Yeah. But again, I'm just happy that you guys made it at all, and just being able to see 3 great songs that were performed live tonight. And I'm glad that you guys had such a great reaction here in Minnesota. And from what I've gathered from seeing on the internet and everything, that's been going over throughout the entire world tour.
Yeah, things have been going really well ever since we started, I guess, touring heavily at the start of last year. The momentum for the band has really picked up a lot. Continually playing to new fans all the time in new markets, whether it's festivals or club tours like this, and hopefully the bar keeps going higher and higher, and we get to play to new people and new tours, and hopefully the momentum keeps going, because that's what we really, really want to do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I still want you guys to be able to do this full time for as long as you guys are capable of being able to play these songs.
Yeah, that would be great. In an ideal world, it would be cool to be able to pay all those bills that come in back home when you're on tour, which unfortunately isn't the case at the moment. But hopefully, if we keep working hard and keep being passionate about what we do and with a lot of focus, hopefully we can make that happen.
Yeah, I definitely have faith in you guys, and I hope I'm not the only one here in North America that feels the same way, and of course around the world.
Yeah, well, the people of North America have been extremely generous to us. Whether it's been we've literally had people saying, how do we help you guys, financially or whatever, or some people say, do you guys need a shower at our house, or little things like that, or just bringing gifts for us at the shows, whether it's beers or maybe something local, or something they like to bring down and share it from their community and stuff. So North America has been outrageously generous with attending the shows and buying merchandise and supporting us. And we're actually working on something at the moment which will give, I guess, fans an alternative way of supporting a band. We're hopefully releasing some information about that in the coming week or two. So, yeah, pretty excited about it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know for myself, like, I've always wanted to be able to buy merchandise from you guys, but I know that the shipping cost between Australia and North America is very rough, so
yeah.
I've always wanted you guys to be able to come out here, and I made sure I saved enough money to be able to get both shirts that you have on tour.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I bought it right after you guys got off stage.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem.
Yeah.
So getting into your playing, what would you say is the biggest difference between doing Portal of I into Citadel?
Okay. Yeah, well, Portal of I a lot of it was written when I was, I guess, in a more immature state of when I first started drumming. I think I matured a lot between Portal of I and Citadel, because the material on Portal of I was written, between 2005 and 2011, say, or sorry, 2005 and 2009 or 10. The last song being completed, I think it was not long before we went in the studio in 09 or 10. So, I mean, I started playing drums in 2004. So, I was very raw, very inexperienced, and musically wasn't quite, mature. I just tried to do my best to play for the music sort of thing, But I found with Citadel, touring a lot and being around the other guys a lot more, and, maturing as a band, I felt that I matured as a player a little bit more, and tried to put a little bit more conscious thought into all my parts and stuff like that. So I guess overall, I'd like to think Citadel's a more mature performance, but I still really enjoy playing the Portal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that too, because I know 3 of those songs were already all the way back to the Aurora Veil.
Yeah,
so
that's right,
are those songs still fun to play live?
Yeah, definitely. There's no songs that I guess I don't like playing. The only one that I kind of don't like playing is As Icicles Fall, because it's like, for me, the most crazy double bass workout ever. It's like 228 BPM for like 7 or 8 minutes, and like it's I have to train really hard before. We played that on our last Australian tour last year, and I had to train for a few weeks to be able to pull it off. So it's really real endurance burner.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I know whenever I've tried to play it myself, like, especially with As Icicles Fall, it's like I can only get a couple minutes in before my legs just start to kill me
me too.
there. It's just like you able to do that live, plus all the other songs in the set too. I mean, that shows a lot of how much you've progressed over the years.
Yeah, I've had to do a lot of training to be able to play the stuff live and play it to a, I guess, satisfactory level, because we set very high standards for all of our musicianship, and I'm probably the least experienced guy in the band in terms of playing years under my belt or education. I'm self-taught and all that sort of stuff, so I've had to do a lot of catching up to the other guys, because they're like, I regard them as very high caliber musicians, so I'm still in many ways catching up to their level, but yeah, I've had to put in a lot of hours to be able to pull it off to the standard that everyone kind of expects. Yeah.
But again, it shows how much that you progressed, like, because you would never be able to listen to your playing and say that you're not as talented and not up to par as everyone else in the band. I mean, all of you sound completely solid together, and I think it really shines through that way.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've toured a lot in the last couple of years. We've come a long way in the last couple of years, especially. Just playing so much together and jamming a lot, and rehearsing a lot and writing new music together and touring. It's I guess it's nice to hear someone say that they've seen a progression. So all the hard work, I guess, is paying off there.
Oh, absolutely. Once again, just like from listening all the way back to the Aurora Veil to constantly listening to Portal of I and Citadel, it's like I'm able to notice those little changes from all the way back then to Citadel now, and it doesn't just sound like studio magic to me. It just sounds like you guys being able to mature and progress as a band and just getting stronger and stronger as the years go by.
Yeah, right. I mean, we've started writing the new album again, and again we're trying to challenge ourselves and set new goals or moods or new dynamic things we want to kind of explore and experiment with. So I don't think as a band we'll stop progressing or challenging each other, which is one of the really fun aspects of being a part of this group.
When you say that, is there anything that you guys have been writing so far, or any songs that are formed for the next album?
Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of ideas. We haven't got like any we have a few skeletons of songs down at the moment, but nothing that's a finished product or anything like that. But yeah, it's all pretty much. Again, it's a progression of Citadel. You know, we'll never do Portal of I 2 or Citadel 2. You know, everything is always going to be, you know, completely different. You know, moods or textures or dynamics, and it's still going to be that same extreme progressive kind of style. But I guess we really like to challenge ourselves and see what we can incorporate in all the new music. So yeah.
Would it be too early to say any kind of styles that might be incorporated into the next album along with that?
I guess the only style that's prevalent still is the extreme metal kind of stuff. There's a bit of that. There's what else we've been working on. There's I guess that we have some more jazzy elements as well. Matt and myself have been working a lot on some jazzier style music, so that's definitely going to probably make an appearance as well. I can't really reveal too much more than that.
Oh, sure.
But
sure.
Yeah, again, it's going to be completely different to Citadel and Portal, but at the same time, it will be Neo. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that as well too, because that's one thing I love most about you guys is that you don't just stick to one style. That like between all the songs on the album, you won't hear any two songs that sound alike. You'll be able to hit that extreme progressive metal, and even on Citadel, you know, hitting that long stretch of post-rock, which was just an unexpected left turn, but I think it turned out amazing having that kind of style on there too.
Yeah, that was an interesting one actually, because I'm pretty sure we wrote that in like 1 or 2 days, that entire passage, because it just happened by just jamming at my house, and I think Benji was making a few noises, and I'm like, hang on a minute, can we try something here? And then we kept trying it, and then we kept working on it, and then Tim incorporated some of his violin ideas, and he said, right, can we, you know, keep this part going for this many repetitions? I want to try this little thing, and then it just went from there, and it happened really quickly, but we all kind of enjoyed it, so it just went from there. So
was that a challenge at all, being able to play in that post-rock style compared to what you normally do?
Not so much these days. It probably would have been back when we were writing Portal of I material, because back then I guess my background was very, you know, death metal, black metal sort of stuff, very heavy and extreme kind of drumming. But now I guess as I'm getting older, I just try as much as possible to play for the musicality side of things. So, you know, if the music requires a very simple, you know, tribal tom rhythm that's repetitive and, you know, long and drawn out or something, if that's what the music requires, then, you know, I'm more than happy to you know, play those parts as long as it suits the music. So I basically play as best I can, you know, with feeling and from the heart and to suit the music as strongly as possible.
Yeah, it's definitely the best way to be being a drummer, because I know a lot of people who might hear your music that aren't necessarily into the style will just think that it's all just about playing the fastest double bass and blast that you can. Yeah. But when you really divulge into the band, you just hear so many different layers of what's going on, and everything, at least in my opinion, feels like it's being played for the music, no matter how fast or how slow or the different style changes, it perfectly fits. Yeah,
it's definitely what we aim for. Yeah, it's one of the really fun challenges about being in this band, is because there is so many different things going on at any one time. You know, it's a fun challenge going, all right, okay, so Tim or Benji's got a lead part here, or, you know, Brendan's bass line needs to maybe cut through a little bit. So, you know, I can't go too over the top with anything here because they need room to breathe there. And then maybe there's a heavy rhythm section, so that, you know, maybe I want to take over a little bit more and drive the rhythm section a little harder or something like that. So those kind of challenges are really fun and interesting, and they're really cool to try and work with. Yeah.
With that said, was there like any major drum changes different from when it ended up on the final products, Portal I or Citadel?
Not really, no. Citadel, I was really prepared before I went in the studio. I worked really, 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 really hard before we went in. I was playing, you know, 3 or 4 hours a day on the material before I went in. So I pretty much had everything finalised. I can't remember off the top of my head if there was anything that I changed in the studio at all. Pretty much everything I do these days, I try to be extremely prepared. You know, I do pre-production, I record videos and audio of myself and listen to it back and try and analyse, you know, dynamics and the precision of it, and maybe, you know, the musicality side of it too, or which cymbals I try to play around with, which ride cymbals I might use for certain parts, or which hi-hats and stuff like that. So
with that said, with Citadel, what would you say was like the parts that came naturally to you compared to the ones that were the most challenging for you?
Yeah, the most challenging parts were probably Painters of the Tempest as a whole. The musical side of that song goes for like 16 and a half minutes or something, and to keep it interesting drum-wise from start to finish was a very, very big challenge for me. I had to work on there was a few concepts I was working on at the time when we were writing that song. Like I started getting really into linear drumming, which for anyone who doesn't know is basically, you know, playing a drum phrase or whatever where no limb hits at the same time. So that was a lot of fun. There's a bit of linear drumming in there, and you know, I was trying to add a whole bunch of interesting rhythms under blast beats and stuff like that with the kicks, and just trying to keep the rhythm section stuff really interesting too, like adding in some offbeat strokes on you know, cymbals to make the listener think a little bit more about, you know, maybe what the beat's doing exactly. Just little things like that were fun to work on.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Getting back into this tour, unfortunately, Cradle Filth had to miss a few shows in the beginning.
Right.
But the silver lining with that was that you guys were actually able to do some full headlining shows.
Yeah.
Including a band that I'm wearing, Black Crow Initiate, opening for you guys on the very first show here in the States.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about being able to do your first show here in North America, a headlining set, compared to doing the rest being the opener for this Cradle Filth tour?
Well, it was really nerve-wracking because we basically took a gamble to come here to start with because we weren't too sure if the tour was going to happen, and we just thought, you know what, let's just do it. So we jumped on the plane and we landed in LAX and basically got the news that Cradle may or may not be. No, actually, I think we landed in LAX and they said that the tour will happen, but it's going to be like, you know, delayed 5 or 6 days. So we got straight on the phone to our booking agent and record label and said, look, can you guys fill some dates in for us, because you know, while we're here it's quite expensive because we're paying for the tour bus and, you know, expenses, food and all this kind of stuff. So we thought if we can fill in some headline shows and maybe get a few people to turn up to help ease the burden of going broke you know, before the shows start, then that's kind of what happened. And then basically we got on a plane from LAX to Chicago, and I think it was LAX to Chicago and then Chicago to Philly, I think. And in between all those flights, our booking agent and label hooked up, like, you know, I think it was 4 or 5 headline shows. I can't recall exactly, but that was like, wow, you know, amazing. Within like 2 or 3 hours we got all these shows. So we're like a little bit nerve-wracking going into it, but now we're on the other side of it. It was a very positive experience. You know, people turned out, people supported us, people travelled a long way in many cases to come and see us. So it was actually quite overwhelming to see how many people would turn up on, you know, 24, 48 hours notice. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, I was actually contemplating like traveling out to the Philly show when I found out it was going to be the first headlining one, because I was not expecting any headlining shows on this tour. I was just waiting for the show here in Minneapolis, and I was really contemplating it, but I just didn't have the funds to make, I think it was about like 12, 13-hour drive up that way. So it's like, again, just so happy that you guys just made it here at all, let alone being able to do this tour.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a gamble that we did end up here, but again, the whole band is stoked that we did it, and it was, you know, a bit of a rush, I guess, just dropping everything and coming here and not sure what was going to happen. You know, a bit old school rock and roll style, I guess, but yeah, it was really cool. It was great to play with Black Crown too. We've like, I know the drummer and a couple of other guys talked to the other guys online and stuff like that, and they're really cool people and they're a great band, so it was really an honor for them to play with us.
Oh, so very cool.
Yeah.
So if the worst would have came to worst where Cradle did have to cancel the shows, would you guys have tried to play any more shows? Like, would you have tried to continue the trek that was on there?
Yeah, I mean, there'd be no worse feeling than, you know, having all these dates booked. People, like, you know, so many people book accommodation or take days off work or, you know, inconvenience their lives to come and see a band that they've supported for so long. There's no way we could have just sat back and said, oh, well, let's get on a plane back home, you know. So it would have been our intention to try and satisfy as many fans as we possibly could, because it just, you know, wouldn't feel right if we didn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Getting back into doing the headlining shows versus the opener sets, do you feel like you're having enough energy being able to play doing the opening sets compared to being able to do the headlining sets?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm, really well rehearsed in all our material, and I can play for 90, 100 minutes a night, or we get 35, 40 minutes a night on the Cradle shows. It's for me it's no problem. The vocalists is probably the biggest ones that have the biggest issues, because if they get a cold or something, it affects their singing and stuff. So, but for the most part, we could play for 2 hours a night if we really had to. That'd be fine. Yeah.
I got to become a booker to make that happen here in Twin Cities.
Right. Yeah.
Getting into your setup, which, again, before I turn on the recorder, I'm absolutely in love with your setup that you have with the Pearl and the Zildjians. How did you come up with this setup for what you do?
Yeah, it was a lot of experimenting, actually. I've been a fan of, my first drum kit was a Mapex, actually, and I had that for, wasn't long, 6 or 8 months, and then I got a Pearl kit, which I really, really enjoyed the sound of. Loved Pearl for a long time, and then I played for another company. Maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I started playing for another company, and then 2 years ago, I hooked up with Pearl. Now I play with Pearl. I experimented with a whole bunch of their drums. Really like the Reference Pure range, so I got a Reference Pure drum kit at home, and ordered a custom Masterworks one as well, which is all maple shells, thin shells, with except for the bass drums, they're medium thickness shells. That amazing drum kit. It's got reinforcement rings on it, 90-degree bearing edge. I'll go on about it all day long. But in terms of the cymbals as well, that was a lot of trial and error. Zildjian have been beyond super cool to me. I should give them a shout out because they've been so cool to me. They ship me out cymbals when I've got broken ones and really, really hook me up. They let me try stuff, and so it just became a trial and error with the band. So I'd try different ride cymbals and different hi-hat cymbals and crashes and all sorts of stuff, and just really try to figure out what would suit this band the best. And definitely with Zildjian I found that sound, so yeah.
Oh, very much so. And it comes through so great live. I mean, even though I was only maybe 10 feet away from you, it's just everything sounded so clear coming out. From the toms to the splashes, everything just came out sounding really great.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool, yeah.
With the actual setup, is there anything else that you feel like you need to switch around with it, like any positions or anything, or do you feel like you found a great setup for what you're doing now?
Yeah, for the Citadel touring, this is the ideal setup. For the new album, I've added in a left-hand side floor tom, actually. So I've got the 14-inch on the left now instead of on the right, and on the right now I've got the 16-inch floor tom. So I'm trying to incorporate a whole bunch of ideas with the floor tom over this side of the kit. I've added in another splash as well, and I'm considering swapping the small 14-inch China for a stack. So we'll see what happens. I'll play around with one when I get home.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of cool creative ideas can come out of that, and a lot more linear playing as well, having tom off to the left side.
Yeah, totally.
I noticed that you also have an additional hi-hat that's off to your right side. Do you feel like there's how necessary do you think that is to have the X hats on your right side compared to just having the one set of hi-hats?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a lot of long passages, in there with, I guess, can be fairly repetitive. So I like to swap sound sources a lot to try and just change the dynamic of that repetition, so that the washy sound of the 14-inch hi-hats can be changed by because I've got the K custom dark hats on the right, and they're 13-inch, so they're a lot darker and a little bit more of a vintage kind of washy sound opposed to the A custom 14-inch. I also do some ostinato work on the feed as well, which opening and closing of hi-hats and stuff like that, like at the start of And Plague Flowers has an ostinato pattern. I really like the sound of blasting on different hi-hats as well. So I think for the Neo sound, I guess it's not like a critical piece of equipment, but it's really nice to have that opportunity to have the extra dynamic range.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good that you're using different sizes too, because that opens up a lot of ideas of hi-hat sounds as well.
Yeah, it definitely does, yeah.
And I also noticed as well, because I guess I never noticed it before when you're playing, you actually open and close the hi-hat with your hands when you were starting off the set tonight. Is that something that you started off doing when you were writing for the song?
So that was, is it In Devour Me?
Yeah.
Colossus? Yeah, right. So that's just because I'm playing double bass with both feet, I can't open and close the hi-hat, obviously, and doing that stuff. So I just had that idea in my head that I really wanted to hear you know, a closed and open hi-hat part, groove kind of part. So I guess I just thought, well, you know, I'm going to have to do it with my hands because I can't do it with my feet. So yeah, that's just how it came about.
Did that create a challenge being able to do that? Did it feel like it was preventing you from being anything else, or did it come natural?
No, it was. I had to work on it a little bit, but it's I guess pretty easy now. The biggest challenge now is actually because it's kind of quite fast, that part. The challenge is having a really loud backbeat in the middle of that groove because I'm using one hand to do the hi-hat and the snare. So to have the velocity of the snare a lot harder, it's kind of a little bit tricky. I've lost a couple of sticks on a couple of shows because I'm trying to hit a little bit too hard there, but you know, that's all part of the challenge.
Well, it's very cool to see, and anyone that can actually see you behind the kit doing that, I mean, it even just from a visual aspect, it looks really cool to be able to see that because of all the crazy stuff that you're already doing. Being able to see some kind of visuals like that is really cool to see too.
Well, it's all about what looks good, right?
Oh yes, there's nothing else about drumming.
Yeah,
it's just how it looks.
Totally. That's why I got 2 bass drums.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you're back home and you're not working on stuff for the band and you're able to sit behind the kit and play, what are you working on?
Right, good question actually. I have a friend of mine who's like an amazing drummer who I look up to immensely. He's a drum teacher and he's very good with notation, and he's big on like the gent stuff, Meshuggah and Animals as Leaders, Periphery, you know, that kind of vibe. And he sent me a few tabs for some Meshuggah and Animals as Leaders stuff, and I'm really trying to get my independence and stuff really up by working on those kind of tunes. So I'm actually going to be working on some covers for Meshuggah and Animals as Leaders when I get back. I started to before I left, but yeah, I definitely want to get more in depth to that kind of stuff. It's really interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely, because just so much of the drum work matches with the guitar riffs and too, and everything is just like so machine gun like where you're able to it has to be like perfectly intact.
The note spacing is really critical in that kind of music, you know. And one of the biggest challenges I'm finding is having the hi-hat going while you're doing these syncopated rhythms between the right side of your body. You know, so having the hi-hat go, like the Meshuggah song I'm working on has phrases of 16 and 17, so there's like, you know, 16/8 and 17/8. So you're playing the 16/8 part and it's all cool because the hi-hat's on the beat. Then you get to the 17/8 measure and it's off the beat, you know. So keeping the hi-hat going while the right side of the body's maintaining that correct note spacing is a real challenge, but I find it interesting and fun, so can't wait to work on it some more.
Oh yeah, it's definitely fun stuff to play as a drummer because it opens up a lot of creativity that you may not have heard in other styles of music, and it's coming to the forefront now. It's really cool to see.
Is. I guess it's a newer genre, you know, in context of music. It's quite a new genre, and that style of drumming is somewhat new. You know, it's only been around for like probably 10, 15, I guess the Meshuggah, Thomas Hark probably began that kind of stuff, but it's only been around for say 10, 15 years, you know, so it's quite new. So I'm kind of pretty excited to try and get amongst it and get my head around it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So when you're not behind the kits, is there anything that you're currently listening to or anything you're listening to on this tour when you're just trying to relax?
Yeah, well, I just got a new session job the other day, so I've been listening to that a lot because I'm going to have to try and record that as soon as I can when I get home.
Nothing you can talk about, I'm assuming, right?
No, it's just a band from Australia who just need a drummer to do their album, so they've hired me to do it, and I'm going to record it for them.
Cool.
And they're cool guys. They're from Sydney and Newcastle, I believe. They're called Blade of Horus, I believe. Yes, I think. I can't remember. I only got the job 2 days ago, so you know. They're really cool. And I'm listening to a lot of stuff at the moment. What have we got? I guess After the Burial, their new album.
Oh yeah, that just came out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I got that on Spotify.
They're from here too.
Cool. Are they?
Yep.
Wow, cool. Small world. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Damn. Yeah, that new one's pretty cool.
Oh, definitely.
I'd really like to check those guys out live. Actually, I think their drummer's left-handed, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He is. Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, Sick Drummer came and filmed the show a couple of weeks ago, and they sent me a preview back and flipped the video around so it looks like I'm playing left-handed. So I'm like, kind of got me interested. I'm like, maybe I should set up my kit left-handed and kind of have some fun with that too. That was kind of pretty cool. The whole left-handed thing is really crazy.
Definitely.
It's actually why I've got like, you know, a ride on the left as well, and I've incorporated the left floor tom because I want to try and get the left side of the body kind of doing more of what the right hand side can. Like I do a lot of exercises at home with left hand leading around the kit. instead of right hand leading, like a lot of blast beats are typically right, left, right, left, right, left. I'm trying to get the left, right, left, right, left, right kind of side of things going on too, just for a bit more balance around the kit.
Yeah.
So that stuff's really cool too.
Yeah, and that definitely helps with creativity too, because when you're so used to playing crossed hand or playing with the right like that, and then you switch things up, it opens up ideas that you may not have had before.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely does. Certainly does. Yeah. And just the comfort level behind the kit too, because I've got, a fairly symmetrical setup with the rides on the left and right, the hi-hats and the chinas on the left and right. Now I've got the floor tom over here. I want this side of the body to have as much free-flowing movement as what this side of the body does, because we're so used to, going down the toms like this, so I'm trying to incorporate exercises where I'm doing this side as well, just to try and get the economy of motion on my left side a little bit stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up too, because I just saw a band a couple days ago called Vector, and there's no toms in front of them. There's 2 toms on each side, onto the side. So it's he's like doing crosshand and tom fills
cool.
like that. So it's like there's like nothing in front of him. It's just the bass and snare in front of him, and then all the toms are to the left and the right.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
That might be something to consider down the road.
Yeah,
too.
I've got 2 drum kits at home, so I should probably set one up with all these crazy different variations and have some fun, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, very cool. So, getting to the end of the interview here, for 2016, what are the rest of your guys' plans?
It's a bit up in the air at the moment. We have quite numerous offers for touring. I think we have 3 different US offers at the moment we're kind of thinking about. We've got some more 2 or 3 European offers, and plus we've got offers to go to other parts of the world as well, Asia and India and all that sort of stuff. So we're trying to see the best plan of attack to how to approach each one, and which ones we can and can't do, and which ones will be beneficial for the band. And so yeah, I can't reveal too much yet, but we will be back to the US this year. I'm certain of it, and hopefully another really cool tour where we can play with some awesome bands.
Oh, fantastic. And if absolutely anytime that you guys come within driving distance of me, I will do my best to make it out to see you guys.
Well, I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that.
Oh,
Thank
not
you.
a problem.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you for taking the time to do this interview.
It's my pleasure.
I still probably have about another 9 or 10 hours worth of questions I'd love to ask, but
right on, man. That's cool.
But I know you guys got to get going pretty soon, and I got to head back and everything.
That's
but
fine.
Again, just thank you for taking the time to do this. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to bring up that I haven't brought up yet?
Yeah, well, I'd actually like to thank all the fans that have come out early to see us every show. It means, like, a lot to us, more than what people think. It really means the world, and we respect these people so much. And the support the US has shown us, and Canada, has been like nothing short of overwhelming. So thank you to anyone listening who's come out to the shows or will come to shows in the future. We really appreciate it, and thanks a lot.
Oh, not a problem. Once again, that was Dan from Ne Obliviscaris. Make sure to check them out on the Cradle, Filth, and Butcher Babies tour if they're coming your way anytime soon. And look out for them in 2016. Make sure to pick up Citadel, Portal Vi, and if you can find it, the Aurora Veil. And check out everything new with Ne Obliviscaris. This is that German guy, Josh Ronquist. Thank you.